Chase, Maryland.
Hello, I am Dr. Cheryl Simmons Gray, and I am the Northeastern Region Philo Coordinator for Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. And this year, I'm celebrating 50 years as a Sigma Gamma Rho soror.
It's hard to follow that one up. Good afternoon. My name is Shella Cherry, and I'm a proud life member and member of the Eta Theta Sigma chapter here in Silver Spring.
Good afternoon. It is such an honor to be here. I'm Sora Rosemary Lytle. I am a relatively new resident of Montgomery County, so this is particularly wonderful for me. And I am a proud member of the Eta Theta Sigma alumni chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho.
And last but not least, my name is Sunitha Simpson Booth. I am a very recent transplant to the Maryland area, and I am a proud member of the Eta Theta Sigma chapter.
Well, thank you for making Maryland your home. You're welcome to come back, and we have to give you another proclamation on your 50th anniversary, young. So without further ado, I will read the proclamation here. Come on up, and I'll hand these to you as well, so you can hold these. And it might be specific to the chapter. Okay, the Montgomery County Council, the Montgomery County Proclamation. Whereas Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated was established on November 12th, 1922 in Indianapolis, Indiana by 7 young educators. And whereas the mission of Sigma Gamma Rho is to enhance the quality of life for women and their families in the United States and globally through community service, civil and social action, with a goal to achieve greater progress in the area of education, health awareness, and leadership development. And whereas Sigma Gamma Rho has welcomed collegiate and professional women from every profession and has chartered chapters in the U.S., in the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Canada, Germany, West Africa, South Korea, and the United Arab Emirates. I need airline miles for that one. In addition to achieve affiliate groups which include the Rosebuds, Roars, and Philos. All are devoted to empowering women and girls through service, efforts, and programs. And whereas the reach of Sigma Gamma Rho in Montgomery County is guided by the Eta Theta Sigma alumni chapter, chartered in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the Eta Iota Sigma alumni chapter, chartered in Chevy Chase, Maryland. And whereas these chapters support Montgomery County residents with the implementation of the sorority's 5 national programs: Operation Big Book Bag, Women's Wellness Initiative, Swim 1922, Project Cradle Care Initiative, and the annual Youth Symposium, along with other initiatives and community service projects. And whereas Sigma Gamma Rho members and affiliates around the globe have joined in a centennial celebration that extends throughout this 100th year of sisterhood, scholarship, and service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby lifts the history and legacy of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in its first 100 years and encourages its continued community service in the days and years to come. Presented on this 14th day of March in the year 2023, signed by myself. Congratulations, ladies.
Maybe this is all
Okay, and the second proclamation of the afternoon is a proclamation recognizing Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month, and that's being led by Councilmember Albornoz.
Well, hello, everyone. I am thrilled to have the opportunity today to recognize Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week. And joining us today are some outstanding leaders in our community. And I want to begin by introducing Dr. Seth Morgan, the previous longstanding and incredible chair of our Commission for People with Disabilities. Dr. Morgan has been a steadfast leader, not just to raise awareness on MS, but on advocating for our disability community across all of Montgomery County for a number of generations. We also are joined by Ms. Shannon Wood with the National MS Society, and advocates for individuals affected by MS behind me include Mr. Brian Barkley, Monica Proctor, Kathy Sullivan-Kohler, Kathy Schenker, and Melissa McKenna. So let's give them a round of applause and thank them for joining us today. It is critical for us to raise awareness regarding issues surrounding MS. It impacts people in the prime of their lives between the ages of 20 and 50. And there is no one single test that can determine whether somebody has MS or not. We all have to work collaboratively as a nation to ensure that we come up with a cure and that we provide more treatment opportunities for families who have been inflicted with this very challenging and debilitating disease. But here in Montgomery County, we have outstanding leaders who are working every day to make sure that we raise awareness and provide support for families who are impacted by this important issue. And with that, I would like to invite Dr. Seth Morgan to say a few words. Dr. Morgan.
Thank you, Gabe, and thank you to the entire County Council for this proclamation. The key word in this whole event is awareness, and I think, unfortunately, we're still in a position in which a person has to live with symptoms of MS, usually approximately 2 years before the diagnosis is made. And when I was first practicing medicine, that was no big deal because we couldn't do anything for MS anyway. There were no medications, there were no real treatments. Now we have over 20 medications. Now, we don't have a cure, but we have the ability to forestall the worsening, keeping people active, keeping people not dependent on others to care for them, being independent. Recently, I was looking at the journal articles. There's a new study being done on aging and MS. The concept of aging and MS, when I was first starting in my medical practice, was something no one even thought could happen. So this is a very critical thing, and I want to hit the awareness. Those 2 years are critical. Those are 2 years with the missed diagnosis that could be a time when medication is started and potentially forestall the worsening, so you're not losing that time. It is critical, and doctors and patients and everyone should be aware that there is no standard disability or problem that arises with MS. It can affect the nerves in which you don't feel things. Oh, and by the way, you can feel things hyperacutely. It can be worse. You can have pain. You can lose your vision, or you can have double vision. And unfortunately, too many people with symptoms at the outset are assumed to have psychosomatic disease, so they're ignored for a time. They're ignored for too long. If you have a symptom that the doctors just can't figure out what it is, take the initiative. Ask them, could it be MS? Because you may gain time that you are not losing function and you are staying more active and you're staying more involved. So please, spread the word. This is an important thing. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, I will now read the proclamation, and I appreciate those incredible words, Dr. Morgan. So, whereas multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease of the central nervous system affecting nearly 1 million people in the United States and is a debilitating disease affecting residents and their loved ones in Montgomery County, Maryland, to whom the National Multiple Sclerosis Society of Greater DC, Maryland chapter provides educational and assistive support. And whereas multiple sclerosis generally strikes people in the prime of their lives between the ages of 20 through 50, with the cause of this often debilitating and erratically progressive disease remaining unknown with no available cure currently. And whereas the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has been committed for more than 76 years to a world free of MS by raising public knowledge about the disease and being a driving force for MS research. The organization relentlessly pursues treatments and strives to find a cure by investing more than $1 billion in groundbreaking research, with the mission of stopping MS in its tracks and restoring what has been lost. And whereas Montgomery County, Maryland recognizes the importance of raising awareness of MS to assure timely treatment while striving to find the cause of and cure for this disease, and expresses its appreciation for the dedication to this goal that the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, Greater DC, Maryland chapter has shown, striving to create a world free of MS. Now therefore be resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby proclaims March 12th through 19th, 2023 as Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week, and be it further resolved that the County Council urges all residents to learn more about multiple sclerosis and what they can do to support individuals with MS and their families. Presented on this 14th day of March in the year 2023, signed by myself and our Council President Glass. So congratulations again.
Okay, colleagues, given that the next few items are public hearings with individuals who will be needing to testify, we're going to take a recess till 1:30. Okay, colleagues, we're back from recess. It is 1:31, so now we're going to move on to general business. Madam Clerk, do we have any announcements?
Yes, good afternoon, Council President, Council Vice President, and Council members. Public hearings on the FY24 operating budget and additional amendments to the FY23 to 28 capital improvement program will be held on April 11th and April 13th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Persons wishing to sign up may do so beginning March 20th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. The clerk has circulated the minutes for February 7th and 14th. Are there any changes? Not hearing any. Those are approved. First public hearing this afternoon is a public hearing on Expedited Bill 1323, Montgomery County Urban Districts, Friendship Heights District. This bill would create an urban district located in the Friendship Heights area of the county, expand the purpose of urban districts in the county, create a commercial district charge as an additional mechanism to fund an urban district, establish a Friendship Heights Urban District Advisory Committee, and generally amend the law concerning urban districts in the county. An Economic Development Committee work session is scheduled for March 23rd. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business on March 17th. We have 7 speakers for this item. 4 are in person, so I'd ask everyone to come up at the same time. Ken Hartman, Jad Donahoe, Manuel Ochoa, and Andrew Fraser. Good afternoon. Mr. Hartman, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Council President. My name is Ken Hartman-Espada, Director of Strategic Partnerships, here to testify on behalf of County Executive Mark Elrich in support of Expedited Bill 1323. We greatly appreciate and acknowledge the partnership with Council Vice President Friedson on this legislation. The County Executive supports efforts to re-energize Friendship Heights through the establishment of a Friendship Heights Urban District. Friendship Heights is a densely urbanized housing, commercial, and retail center that is shared by Maryland and the District of Columbia. Standing on Western Avenue, it's very hard to see a difference between the two sides. Once a premier regional retail destination, Friendship Heights is transitioning from malls and movie theaters to a more neighborhood-serving retail. That transition has been difficult. One of the common questions the county executive receives from concerned residents is, what can we do about Friendship Heights? It is a discussion Council Vice President Friedson is very familiar with, and as former BCC Regional Service Center Director, I am too. Placemaking activities, wayfindings, sidewalk activations, promotional activities, bus, bicycle, and pedestrian connections are all things we've talked about that are envisioned and can, but require a cooperative effort to accomplish. After years of conversations with folks like Jad Donahoe and others, a cross-jurisdictional Friendship Heights Alliance has been launched with support from the community. Over the last year, the Friendship Heights Alliance has received grant funding from the DC government and from the County Executive's Business District Grant Program. That Business District Grant Program, which was funded by the Council in the FY23 operating budget, is intended to support the formation of nonprofit commercial district management entities. And the Friendship Heights Alliance is now forming a business improvement district through legislation before the District Council and has worked with us on the legislation before you. Establishing a Friendship Heights Urban District will fund Montgomery County's participation in this activity. The specifics of the business district fee in this bill matches the fee that DC is considering. If established, a new urban district would enter into a contract with the Friendship Heights Alliance. That contract, like the agreement we have with the Bethesda Urban Partnership, will be monitored by the BCC Regional Services Center and renewed every 5 years for continuation. The legislation will also create an Urban District Advisory Committee that will advise the BCC Regional Director, the Council, and the Executive on the services being provided. The Executive believes this focused effort with property owners, businesses, residents, Montgomery County, DC, and other communities surrounding Friendship Heights led by the Alliance will knit Together, Friendship Heights contribute to a community identity and attract people and companies to call Friendship Heights home. Thank you for your consideration of this bill.
Thank you. Mr. Donahoe.
Thank you, Chair Glass. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jad Donahoe. I'm a Senior Vice President at the Donahoe Companies here in Montgomery County and a landowner in Friendship Heights, Maryland, as well as in Friendship Heights, D.C. The Friendship Heights Alliance, which I'm one of the members and the chair, is a cross-jurisdictional nonprofit formed to shepherd the revitalization of Friendship Heights, both Friendship Heights, D.C. and Friendship Heights, Maryland, through research, placemaking, and community building. After a year of significant success in placemaking efforts, outreach, and other programs, the Friendship Heights Alliance has secured broad buy-in from stakeholders, including property owners, businesses, and residents. This set of efforts to date has been supported with grants both from DC and from Montgomery County, for which our continued thanks, and by financial contributions of landowners within the proposed urban district. Now we hope to set this effort on a more permanent footing with a new urban district on the Montgomery County side and a complementary business improvement district on the DC side, with a district charge on each side paid by the commercial property owners. This longer-term funding mechanism is going to support the ability to move forward and create longer-term efforts to promote and place Friendship Heights back in people's mental map in a way that it hasn't been in recent years. Friendship Heights is on the cusp of significant change, and we look forward to working with you all and other government partners to craft innovative strategies to market Friendship Heights, provide more affordable housing, and offer more public realm improvements. Ensuring this area thrives is going to require cross-jurisdictional collaboration, extensive stakeholder engagement, and careful planning. But we thank you for those steps that you have already taken and this new attention to Friendship Heights. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Ochoa.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Manuel Ochoa. I have been a resident of Friendship Heights and Brookdale since 2011, and I am also a board member of the Brookdale Citizens Association. As a resident, I am testifying today in support of Bill 1223 to form a Friendship Heights Urban District. I am also an urban planning professional working in housing, planning, and community development for over 25 years. And over the years, I have worked in commercial districts and neighborhood revitalization efforts across the country. I have found that urban districts and similar programs are a proven mechanism for delivering place-based services. Since I moved to Friendship Heights, I have watched the loss of retailers and storefronts with frustration even before the pandemic, but now Friendship Heights is on the cusp of significant change. Ensuring that Friendship Heights thrives as a dynamic, diverse, and walkable place is important to me, and is a reason my family and I chose to buy our home in Brookdale after renting in the village of Friendship Heights for several years. Over the years, I was told that cross-collaboration was impossible, that we had tried and failed many years ago. Despite the naysayers, the council should be commended, especially Council Member Friedson, for successfully leading the cross-collaboration effort with the district. Through the Friendship Heights Alliance and the Urban District proposal focuses on the neighborhood's commercial corridors, nearby residents like me benefit from placemaking, marketing, and coordination efforts that bring vitality and support to the places where we shop, dine, and spend time with friends and family. I've been impressed by the work of the Alliance, listened to a variety of stakeholders, including small businesses and residents. They have built a set of programming around what they heard, including street markets, plantings, and pop-up shops and galleries. They're also working across jurisdiction to build a shared vision for a diverse and dynamic neighborhood. This cross-jurisdictional approach is important because I consider Friendship Heights one place, so it's important that businesses, property owners, and other partners are working together. I also appreciate the Alliance's support for small businesses. As a small business advocate Efforts to support our local small businesses or the makers market that support home-based makers and entrepreneurs is important, but also creates opportunity for Montgomery County residents. In brief, support for the urban district is an important step that will enable the Friendship Heights Alliance to continue this collaborative effort that will create the vibrant and dynamic district that we envision for our community. Thank you for supporting this effort.
Thank you. And Mr. Fraser. And turn your mic on, the button right in front of you. Yep, there you go.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, the rest of the County Council, for allowing us to testify. My name is Andy Fraser. I'm the current chair of the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to testify on behalf of the Chamber. The Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce fully supports the creation of the urban district. At the same time, housing supply is not kept in pace with demand. I'm kind of jumping around here, sorry. But for a lot of reasons. The Friendship Heights has a 2.3 million square feet of office space and provides a great value with newly renovated properties. And what's important is high transit accessibility and significant regional access to other office markets. However, along with office markets regionally, vacancy rates have escalated. That's another reason this is very important. In wake of major shifts in how people live, work, and shop, Friendship Heights needs a place-centered approach to revitalization. Forming an urban district will provide sustained resources to build on and work with support continuing transformation of Friendship Heights as one of the region's most dynamic and walkable urban places. The urban district will help coordinate forward-thinking vision and help execute redevelopment strategy that could help Friendship Heights become a national model on how to pivot a struggling shopping and employment center into a more resilient, dynamic, mixed-use neighborhood aligned with market needs and consumer preferences. Overseen by the Friendship Heights Alliance, the Urban District and the newly formed Business Improvement District on the DC side will enable the kind of cooperation that needs to ensure Friendship Heights thrives as a whole. And today's collaboratively investing in marketing the area is good for small businesses alone, is not only good for small businesses that don't have the resources, but it's also good for the community as well. The Alliance has built a well-received marketing strategy platform and digital print and signage components. The online business directory includes information for hundreds of businesses and health professionals in the neighborhood. By continuing to coordinate the stakeholders throughout this neighborhood, the Urban District can help amplify small business and bring more customers and visitors to Friendship Heights. The Chamber also asks a minor edit to line 123, where it says we'd like to delete owner in the district and replace it with a representative from the district. But again, we fully support the creation of this district and think this is fantastic legislation and really commend you guys for doing it.
Thank you. Thank you to the four of you for joining us in person to testify. We're now going to go online to Mr. Robert Peck, who is virtual.
Hi, and I hope you can hear me.
We hear you and see you.
Great, thank you. My name is Robert Peck. I'm a principal at the architecture, design, and planning firm Gensler. I am a resident of the district but live near Friendship Heights. I frequent the retail there and unfortunately also frequent some of the medical offices on the Maryland side of the line. In 2021, I was asked to co-chair a technical assistance panel organized by the Urban Land Institute. ULI is an organization of developers and others in the real estate industry who promote smart land use. This particular technical assistance panel was co-sponsored by the DC Office of Planning, by WMATA, and the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. We focused on Friendship Heights. We conducted interviews. We looked at documents with respect to the history of Friendship Heights. And we found incredible unanimity among residents and retailers and office owners about the need to do something to revitalize the area. I'm not saying anything more than you haven't heard from others and that you don't know yourself. We took a look at various opportunities there are to change the way Friendship Heights dynamics work today so that it can once again be a vital area on the District Maryland line. We found that there was incredible unanimity about the fact that the Friendship Heights, which at one time was the purveyor to the carriage trade, a regional retail destination has changed, partly because of competition, partly because of changes in shopping habits. But it is an area that has the opportunity to refocus and become an area of neighborhood retail, neighborhood engagement, a place that people want to live, a place where people want to work, a place where people want to shop and play. So at the end of a week's activity in April of 2021, we issued a report. I'd be happy to share it with the council. And we made a couple of recommendations. Chief among them, the number one recommendation was to establish a Friendship Heights Alliance representing owners on both sides of the line to foster cross-jurisdictional planning and action, to begin community engagement, incredibly important to make sure that people are engaged, to activate the streets and to do pop-up activities. We are excited to see that the Friendship Heights Alliance that we recommended has come into being and done almost all of those things that we recommended already. We encourage you to pass this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Stephanie Chavez.
Hello, sorry, I was just making sure I was able to unmute there. Hello, my name is Stephanie Chavez. I own Red Panda Art Studio, a kids art studio, and we're located in the Collection in Friendship Heights. And I am thankful for you all having me here today to testify in support of the bill to form a Friendship Heights urban district. We have been located in our Friendship Heights location for a little over a year now, and are really seeing this revitalization of Friendship Heights as someone who also lives not far from where our business is. I am fully in support of turning Friendship Heights into a new urban district to really have it be a place that families can be and use many of the different businesses that exist here. And as a small business myself, I don't always have the time or the resources to have all of the marketing skills and things that something like the Friendship Heights Alliance has and is able to use on small businesses' behalf. So I've already seen somewhat of what they have been able to do as they exist now in bringing new people and new ideas to the neighborhood. And a lot of times, or for example, in their makers markets particularly, I saw how many people have come and really within our own set of business at the Collection, having that shared sense of marketing really helps get new families in the door and support small businesses like mine. So I just wanted to echo my support for forming the urban district and really thanking the council for their efforts on this to bring attention to having support for small businesses and working to make Friendship Heights a super inviting place. I know the Friendship Heights Alliance is also working to keep it clean and safe, vibrant and inviting with new sorts of ideas and investing in all of these efforts to make Friendship Heights an enjoyable place to visit and explore and spend time, which will all be good for my business and for my family as well, who lives nearby. So I just wanted to thank you for inviting, for allowing me to testify and in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And then last, I'm not sure if Roger Cochetti is joining us online, and I'm being told he is not. And so with that, I just want to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon, and this public hearing is now closed. Next public hearing is on Bill 1423, Late Night Business Safety Plan. This bill would require that certain businesses obtain an approved late night business safety plan before operating in certain parts of the county, authorize the Department of Police to review and approve proposed late night business safety plans, authorize the Department of Police to establish the requirements of a late night business plan, and generally amend the law regarding public safety and the operation of late night businesses in the county. A Public Safety Committee work session is scheduled for March 27th. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business on March 23rd. There are 6 speakers for this item. 2 are in person, Ms. Jane Rediker and Michael Rubin is signed up. I don't see Mr. Rubin, but I see Ms. Rediker, if you want to come on up. Oh, he's virtual.
Thank you. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Good afternoon, Council President Glass, members of the Council. For the record, my name is Jane Rediker, and I'm President of the Greater Silver Spring Chamber of Commerce for one more week. And then I will be on as a consultant until the end of the month. So this may be the last time you see me in person before you. I'm here today in support of Bill 1423. You should all have my written testimony. This bill is about public safety for everybody. As you know, the Chamber's been about making Silver Spring a thriving business community, a place where people want to live, work, and come to enjoy so much of what so much of us love about Silver Spring. Our wonderful arts and entertainment venues, our breweries, what I like to call our United Nations of restaurants, and our nightlife. All of this, plus our diverse community, our location, are the reasons why so many people also want to live in Silver Spring. But the increased violence that invaded our community has people scared. If you read the testimony submitted by those, mostly residents, who are not with us in person today, and I hope you will all read each of those letters, you will see in very graphic detail just why some people are scared. Some have said they're leaving Silver Spring, and some that we hear from, same thing we hear from our businesses and our property owners. Sadly, the violence is not just occurring here, but here is where we live and work, and here is where we want to make a difference. Many of you might remember back in December of 2021, those of you who were on the council back then, the Chamber brought together a group of business owners and residents and council members and the county executive and the police for a public safety summit. We asked you and the county executive to address some specific public safety concerns often associated with establishments that were open in the very late hours of the night or the wee hours in the morning. Some progress has been made. The increased police presence has helped, as has the installation of lighting and cameras. But we also asked for legislation to make sure that establishments in places that require a high police presence, a high number of police calls, also do their part to assure safety for the whole community. This bill is just another step toward that direction, toward a safe environment for everybody to enjoy. And one of our members has already implemented a lot of these safety things and has found them very successful. So it's possible to do all of this. We want all businesses to succeed, and we believe that assuring a safe and welcoming environment for everyone is a key to a thriving business community, a thriving Silver Spring, and a thriving Montgomery County. Safe for all those who live here, who work here, and to come to enjoy the wonderful things that we have to offer. And I thank you for listening to my testimony this afternoon.
And we thank you for your years of service to Silver Spring and the greater community, and thank you for joining us on your last week.
Thank you.
Farewell tour.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Michael Rubin, who I believe is virtual.
Members of the council, council staff, and fellow community members, my name is Michael Rubin, a resident of Tacoma Park and the interim executive director of Impact Silver Spring. Impact is also a member of the Silver Spring Justice Coalition. I'm here to express my opposition to Bill 1423, which imposes a requirement for businesses operating after 2 a.m. to have a safety plan that has been approved by the Montgomery County Police Department. There are many problems with this bill which have been highlighted in SSJC's written testimony. We concur with the rest of the coalition in this critique. I would like to use my time to focus on the issue that is central to Impact's mission, racial equity. Impact was instrumental in working with then Council Member Navarro and County Executive Elrich in drafting the Racial Equity and Social Justice Act in 2019. Despite the promise of this legislation, our adoption of a racial equity lens to policy has been woefully inadequate. The previous County Council frequently ignored racial equity impact assessments. This Council must do better. This bill, targeting businesses primarily owned by blacks and African immigrants in downtown Silver Spring and frequented by a largely black and brown clientele who are already over-policed, as the available traffic stop and use of force data clearly demonstrates, will likely have a negative racial equity impact. I look forward to seeing OLO's racial equity and social justice impact assessment when it is released. If we truly cared about equity, we would be requiring all late-night businesses countywide to have safety plans. We would also make sure that a broad-based group approved these safety plans, one that included business owners, community members, and government. Giving sole authority to the MCPD, where we already know there are issues of over-policing of black and brown residents and inconsistent application of law enforcement functions, is highly problematic at best. Giving police access to video surveillance footage without a court order demonstrates that the true intent of this bill is to assist police with closing cases of crimes after they are committed, not prevention of violent crime. I believe the police already have more than adequate tools to do their job. Additionally, this bill has no oversight or appeal mechanism for businesses whose safety plans are rejected or who are included in priority areas and might disagree. In summary, this is bad policy. It does not consider racial equity at all, even though our Racial Equity and Social Justice Act requires that we use racial equity.
Mr. Rubin, we no longer hear you. Mr. Rubin?
Yeah, I don't see what the problem is.
No, we hear you now.
Okay, good. Okay, my mic must have come unplugged. So, in summary, this is bad policy. It does not consider racial equity at all, even though our Racial Equity and Social Justice Act requires that we use a racial equity lens in our policy prescriptions. It should be soundly rejected, and an approach that takes equity and social justice into account, as our law requires, should be in every bill that this body considers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Sandra Johnson. I'm not sure if she is online, and she is not online. Next joining us virtually is Mr. Robert Vega.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we see and hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Dr. Robert Vega, a resident of Silver Spring for 47 years, and I am testifying on behalf of the Silver Spring Justice Coalition. SSJC opposes the bill because it creates a coercive regime that gives far too much power to police, power that would be exerted over the black and brown business community and its customers. Many problems with this bill. As mentioned, first, it gives the police the power to decide which black and immigrant-owned businesses can operate by giving the police the sole authority to approve each business safety plan, and by entrusting them to designate a location as a, quote, priority area, unquote. With no checks on this power, no appeal process, or even a plan for oversight or data collection. This is a throwback to when police were designated as slave patrols. Second, this bill is unlikely to impact black businesses in downtown Bethesda. Instead, it will subject predominantly black and brown customers of businesses areas in Silver Spring to even more surveillance than they already experience in our daily life, as we see from traffic enforcement and use of force data. Third, the bill focuses on surveillance video. Among other things, this focus makes the bill more about making it easier for police to investigate crimes after the fact than it is about preventing crime. And research reveals that surveillance cameras do not reduce violent crime. Fourth, the bill is not supported by available data. It's not tailored to meet the asserted need to address the violent crime increasing in Silver Spring. Such violent crime in this area is highest from 3 p.m. to midnight and lowest during the targeted time that the bill implicates. We do not want businesses, especially black and immigrant-owned businesses, to be the scapegoats because their neighbors are concerned about crime. The bill fails to embrace the positive multicultural ethnic growth that has attracted businesses that are not traditional in the mindset of some. Our county and its elected leaders must grow, accommodate, invest in the needs of all these businesses, regardless of their optimal working hours. If the county wants to require safety plans, a board or commission composed of a range of interests should approve each plan, not the police, and not based solely on location. Most importantly, participatory and voluntary incentive-based plans are more consistent with reimagining public safety than the coercive model set forth in this bill. Solutions should be evidence-based, not police control. They should not require businesses to act as agents of the government without court oversight. They should come from the community and reflect the needs of the community, and they should focus on making business environments safe for everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Vega. Next, joining us is Jackie Greenbaum.
Am I unmuted?
We see you and hear you.
Hi. Hello to all of the council. Some of you I've not met before, and some I've known for years, and it's good to see you, and it's good to be here. I'm the owner of the Quarry House Tavern in downtown Silver Spring, an historic establishment dating back to 1917, and I oppose the proposed legislation. My primary reason for opposing it is that it shifts the responsibility for public safety away from the government to private businesses where it doesn't belong. I have several questions and comments. First, inherent in this proposal is the assumption that there's a causal relationship between late night establishments and crime. I've heard other people discuss this. I don't know that there's evidence to support this. There was a shooting, I think it was a murder, on Bonifant Street 2 Sundays ago at 10 p.m. It had nothing to do with our establishment, of course. The awful murder in December in the Wayne Avenue garage took place at 9 p.m. As far as the Quarry House goes, we're a well-run, responsible tavern and restaurant, and I consider us the victim of street crime, certainly not the cause of it. Our patrons, our staff, our establishment need protection, not to be burdened with the job of public safety. We can't afford it, we don't have the skills, and we shouldn't have to. Public safety is the government's job, it's your job. Speaking more personally, the Quarry House is hanging on by a thread. During our first 6 months after reopening after COVID in late 2021 into 2022, we were losing about $20,000 a month. We have just turned the corner to breaking even or being slightly in the black. Our costs of operation have skyrocketed, and we simply cannot afford to implement additional systems which would carry a cost. If we were to be required, for instance, to employ a security guard, my biggest fear, we would go out of business. We do not have the resources for something like that, and I don't think we should have to. What this really comes down to is resources and resource allocation. I'm aware that the county is struggling to hire police officers. We're all struggling to hire. This does not allow me to pass off my business obligations to others. Until the time that the police force is fully staffed, why aren't officers being reallocated from safer districts to the high-risk zone that Silver Spring has become? This seems to me to be the crucial and core element that needs to be addressed, is a matter of reallocating the resources that we need to protect us. Thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Ms. Greenbaum. Last testifying on this item is Ellen Valentino.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Valentino. I'm here today representing the Mid-Atlantic Petroleum Distributors Association. They're the owners and operators of service stations and convenience stores in the county, and very sensitive to the issue of crime as it relates to the community, our businesses, and want everybody to know that we're prepared to work collaboratively on a policy conversation or legislation that helps the county move forward and citizens feel safe, not in their communities, but also when they're visiting our stores. The issue with this bill is it's tremendously broad, beyond articulation. It provides absolutely no due process for a business owner that may be wrongfully burdened by requirements put upon them by the police department. So in short, I think there needs to be a more collaborative conversation. Clearly, we all want the same thing, but this piece of legislation just doesn't provide any kind of check and balance for a business owner when dealing with the Montgomery County Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for their testimony this afternoon, and this public hearing is now closed. Item number 3 on the agenda is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the county government's FY23 operating budget for the Department of Police, Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, Police Accountability, and Community Transparency Grant Award in the amount of $498,060. Council action is scheduled immediately following this hearing, and we have no speakers. This public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Katz and seconded by Councilmember Sales. All those in favor, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Item number 4 on the agenda is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the county government's FY23 operating budget of the Office of the County Executive and the Purple Line Light Rail Project business grants in the amount of $815,000. Council action is scheduled immediately following this hearing, and we have no speakers. The public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion? Moved by Council Vice President Friedson. Seconded by Councilmember Fani Gonzalez. All those in favor, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. And we are now moving to the consent calendar. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lutke. Seconded by Council Vice President Friedson. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. And now I need a motion to go into closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice pursuant to Maryland Code General Provisions, Article 3305B7 and 3305B8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. Topic is pending litigation involving the county.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lutke. Seconded by Council Vice President Friedson. All those in favor? That is unanimous. The closed session will be in the 4th floor Capitol Crescent Trail Conference Room. And with that, we are adjourned this afternoon. Thank you all.